how do we solve this execution gap issue, right? And from our perspective, uh, this MP3 process that we built is really mapped to try and solve the very issues that we just talked about, right? This is all about addressing that that strategy execution gap and creating some structure and visibility to it. So
Yeah, agreed. If you want to bounce to the next one, so probably what I would say here, Craig, is that as a channel, and this is maybe a little bit of a provocative statement, but we're measuring the wrong things. So typically, what we're measuring is at an organizational level. So we're measuring at the partner organizational level, how many partners, status in a program, what they're doing as a company or as an organization, certifications, number of deal reg, all these KPIs that we typically default to in the channel. And at the end of the day, I honestly, I mean, it's important, and it helps us measure, but it only gets us so far. And if we think of it in terms of that timeline that we showed on the earlier slide, it only gets us so far to the right, and then we end up with that visibility gap and the attribution gap. And what we should be doing is we should be making the shift to where the metrics really count. If you're talking about generating activity, generating deals, and accelerating the sales pipeline through and with the partners, and that's at the active seller level. So what's a typical response if channel sales are lagging behind where the expectations are? Go recruit more partners. Was that really the answer? Do we need to bring on more organizations, or is it really more about, and this is my opinion, your opinion, that it should be about turning on more active sellers within the partners you probably already have? If you don't have enough inside those organizations, maybe you need to recruit another organization, but the goal is not the organization level. The goal is at the active seller level. So with that, Craig, I'd probably welcome your thoughts on, what that looks like.
yeah, 100%, right? So think about it. You know, I'm always talking about uh, generating 2x revenue growth at half the cost. Well, how do I get to the half the cost, piece of that equation? It's really simple. What's the cost of going out, recruiting a partner, onboarding, authorizing, developing, scaling that partner? What's the level of effort? What's the time frame that it
Right.
takes to get that partner actually off the ground and to revenue? It's 6 months to a year before all of your efforts begin to pay off. But if I
If
can
you're
get
lucky.
yeah. But if I've got an existing partner or I've got a bunch of long tail partners, right? And that's the other part to this equation. We talk about long tail partners and we almost dismiss the long tail partner because they're not generating enough revenue for us. But if I go in and I start to look at partnerships in terms of relationships with active sellers and my ability to develop, resource, measure, support, and create active sellers that are prospecting in a set of targeted accounts for us, it changes that equation dramatically. How long does it take me to turn up an active seller? 2 weeks, 1 week, going through an enablement, providing a sales play, going through a target account mapping process, equipping that person with a strategy that we want them to go and execute, measuring against that execution. I can turn that up within a week, within 2 weeks. So if I can start looking at my partners and saying how many active sellers do I have within this partner, and put KPIs in place to keep moving up to generate greater activity from a greater set of sellers within the account, that's how I generate greater revenue at a much lower cost. So this move down to measuring active sellers and target accounts and engagement with economic buyers, this is really where the channel is going, but it requires some new tool sets and a new methodology that sort of sits over the top of this, and this is what MP3 does.